Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey, and today I'm going to be making one of Mark's photos much, much better.
I don't actually do a lot of retouching in my own work, but I'm going to give this a go and see if we can have some fun with it.
To me, this is done.
All right, so here's the thing. When I ended up sitting down and editing, I got all types of distracted.
In this episode, I'll be joined by some very special guests to talk about their approach to retouching photos. Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Exploring Photography right here on Adorama TV. I'm Mark Wallace, and you can tell that I am in a hotel room. That's because I'm in quarantine in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The whole city's on lockdown, and so I've set up sort of a makeshift studio here because I am determined to create no matter what. And so in this episode, I want to talk to you about photo retouching, and specifically the approach that I take to figuring out which photos I want to retouch, and then how I begin and figure out how I'm going to make those come out in the end. And because this is something that is done differently by different people, I've asked other Adorama TV hosts and a special guest to join me to explain their approach to photo retouching. It's going to be sort of fun, so stick around for that. Well, I think we can talk about this in terms of, well, this apple. I think this apple can teach us some things about retouching photos. Now, if I got this apple off a tree or in the supermarket, I could eat it just like it is, and it's going to be delicious. But I could also slice this up, put some peanut butter on those slices, and that's going to be pretty yummy too. I could bake this into an apple pie, or maybe make some apple cider or apple juice. All of them are good. There is no right or wrong. There are just different ways to eat and enjoy this apple. Now, photography is the same way. We can work in the studio or on location to make sure that we get the images just right in camera so that when we pick them, they're ready to eat, just like this apple right off the tree. Or we can think ahead and think, you know what? I don't want to just have an apple that I eat. I want to make this into an apple pie. I want to take a photo in the studio that I know that I'm going to do some retouching to, and then I'm going to expose and do some different things because of the technique I'm going to apply later. And both things are fun and both things are right. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Now, this conversation came up because of the last episode that I published, and that was one lighting setup that had many different looks. And in that video, I went straight from the stuff that was in camera that I was showing and went straight to the published photos, which were radically different. And people said, hey, what the heck happened here? You showed us pictures that were sort of underexposed, and now all of a sudden they're beautiful. How did you get from one to the other? Well, it has to do with the approach I took to retouching those images. So I want to show you sort of my philosophy, and then we're going to jump over and have some other Adorama TV hosts show us their philosophies. So let me first show you the images from that photo shoot. So I've selected 6 of these photos because they basically fall into 2 different categories. And so what I did was I had a lighting setup where I intentionally underexposed things because I knew what I was going to be doing in post-production would make these beautiful. So here is 1, 2, 3 images that were all underexposed. And then I had this image here, very, very high contrast. So I'm thinking ahead in the studio. This is something I probably want to convert to black and white. And then I had some more high key images that I shot that I knew that would be more traditionally retouched images. So let me just walk you through one of these images. So I'm going to show you how I got from this image to this image to this image. They're all the same image. So we'll begin with this middle image here. This is the virtual copy. These are the adjustments that I made in Lightroom. And you can see I didn't do a lot to this. All I did was I changed the white balance. I changed the exposure just a bit. And then I changed the highlight shadows, whites and blacks, to make sure that those were tonality was really, really nice. Then I also went down here and I desaturated the orange just a little bit. I could have stopped right there. This looks pretty good, but I wanted to do some more things to that. So I took this photo and I opened it in Photoshop. So we'll just zip over there. Here's the image in Photoshop. What I did here is I took this layer and I went to Filter, Nik Collection, Analog Effects Pro, and just hopped right in there. Now in Analog Effects Pro, we can take a look here. I only did some very basic things. I did some basic adjustments so I could get a little bit more contrast and brightness out of this. The really significant thing though was adding this bokeh, so some artificial bokeh, and I created this where I could move this around so I could repeat this process on the other images And you can see that makes her body, her shoulders sort of fade out and get sort of soft. And then I also added a film type. Now this film type changes the tonality. So it went from sort of a normal traditional look here to more of this greenish blue. And I really like that. So this is the image right here after that is applied. And then I went in here and I did some corrections to her skin. So you can see if I turn this layer off and on, just some very, very minor corrections. She's got great skin, so I didn't have to do much. The only other thing I did was she has this finger here that when I cropped the image in Lightroom, I noticed it was just too bright. It was distracting. And so I made another layer and I took the tonality of that finger down. All right, so once that was done, I saved that. And then in Lightroom, I had the image. If I go to the Develop module, I then applied the crop in Lightroom. And you can see it's just a beautiful crop when you get in really, really close. And I did that because I wanted to go full screen and really show a beautiful, beautiful image. All right, that's what I did to this image. But what I wanted to do was challenge some of my fellow Adorama TV hosts and a good friend of mine, Martin Higgs, to do this for themselves. And so what I did was I selected 8 images. So here are the 8 images, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I told them, I put this out on a folder, on a Dropbox folder, and I told everybody, I said, hey, here are the rules. You can do anything you want to these images. There are no restrictions. You can crop, you can use any editing software you want. You can convert to black and white. You can oversaturate. You can do compositing. I don't care. Do whatever you want. But you have to do 2 things for us. Number 1, explain why you chose the photo that you chose, and then show us at a very, very high level what you did to that photo. And the results are pretty spectacular. And so we're going to begin with a photographer who I absolutely love his post-processing. His name is Martin Higgs. He does just really high fashion, mostly hair photography and just some amazing stuff. So his Instagram feed is in the description of this video. You really want to check that out. And so Martin, without further ado, show us what you did.
Hi Mark, it's Martin from the UK here. I've accepted your challenge and picked image 7. The reason I picked this was I really like the composition, the lighting, and I think I'm going to make this a nice black and white image. So I'm just going through and getting rid of any blemishes in the background, getting rid of some cottons I can see hanging from the top. Then I'll do a little bit of a skin blemish removal, just a quick one. Nothing in Photoshop today, just Lightroom. Then I go off into my beauty editing software. This is just makes life really quick for me, so it's Portrait Pro Studio 19. And I'm just going through and I'm brightening up the eyes, adding a little bit of makeup, softening the skin just a little. There we go. Then I'm going into Silver Efex Pro 2 to pick my black and white. Of course, there's millions of different combinations here. I just go with what I feel at the time. So there we go. Adding a vignette in a second. Here we go. And then just checking that the whites have got plenty of detail in them still. There's still lots of texture in the top. Applying some tone differences, and there's the final image, which took 8 minutes.
Hey, Vanessa Joy here with Adorama. Well, you know that because this is Mark's video, so let's get editing. Now, normally I would have chosen to edit in Capture One. I actually prefer editing in Capture One, but because these photos are of someone's face, and I didn't really feel like going into Photoshop because Lightroom's just faster and I can retouch in Lightroom, I decided to use Lightroom for this. The first thing I did was just apply an import setting or preset that I typically use called Joyfully Simple. Now, Joyfully Simple just has a few settings that I know I like, a little bit of contrast, a little bit crunching the blacks, really cleans it up, lowers the clarity to help smooth the skin out. But no preset is really going to get your image to the final spot you want it to be. So use a preset if you want to get you started off, and then do some moving around. Moving on from there, I went into my local adjustment brushes, and here's where I just decided to clean up some of the shine, a little bit under the eyes, some of the imperfections. I don't even want to say imperfections because you know what, this girl's gorgeous. It's just some of the things that we wanted to smooth out, and you can do that right there in Lightroom. And from there, I just decided to play around. You know, when it comes to editing photos, especially someone else's photos, sometimes I use presets to get a different feel of base point, and something will pop out at me and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's how I want to edit that. I don't do it much for weddings because weddings I need to create something consistent, you know, from start to finish over the course of 800, 900, 1000 or more images. So I'm not doing that for weddings, but for something like this, hey, might as well have a little bit of fun. So here are my images and, you know, the whole process I went through to get there and get it done. And now I'm kind of excited to see everyone else's.
Hey Mark, I chose this image because I love the warmth and contrast of it. So because of that, I'm just gonna basically amplify that. Again, I love the way it looks. So what I'm gonna do is, number one though, I am gonna do a quick crop on it. I think being a little tighter will benefit this one. It'll work a little bit nicer for me. In addition to that, I'm basically just gonna grab the levels. This is my go-to for most times when I wanna add some contrast. I'm just gonna kind of what I call crunch the blacks in to make it a little darker. I'm gonna bring the lights up to add some contrast, and I'm gonna tweak my mids to get it basically where I like it. Now it looks really nice. One thing that you will find though, especially when you crunch the blacks a lot, is that you will end up with kind of an oversaturated image. And because of that, I'm just gonna drop the overall saturation a little bit. And yeah, I mean, that is basically all I would do here. I think it's a nice clean image out of camera. It works for me. There's kind of like super bright highlights, but I love that. So to me, this is done.
Here's the thing, when I ended up sitting down and editing, I got all types of distracted because I started messing with my presets, and then I ended up with 3 different versions of what I thought I could edit here. So I've got 3 different looks, but ultimately it's the same retouching, just a different type of vibe. I definitely have my favorite of all of these, so that's my final submitted one, but it's just interesting how easily we can get sidetracked, at least for me with editing. And it tells me how important it is to just have a style that you stick to, that you become recognized by, and not to get lost in all of the editing, because really that can be absolutely endless. So happy editing, and I don't know so much to say. Happy editing.
Hey Mark Wallace, it's David Bergman. Thanks for bringing me into this retouch challenge. I don't actually do a lot of retouching in my own work, but I'm gonna give this a go and see if we can have some fun with it. So these 8 images you sent, this is the one that really jumps out at me. Her facial expression is really dramatic and it really draws me in. So let's go ahead and work with that. I'm gonna bring it into Capture One, which is my raw converter of choice. The main thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna crop it dramatically. If I was shooting this image myself, I would have shot it a lot tighter. I would give myself options, so I'd shoot it both ways, but by doing that, it really draws you in, you're not distracted. And then as far as other things in the raw conversion, really all it needs, I think, is a vignette, which the background's really kind of flat. I like vignettes in my images. It draws your eye right into the middle of the frame where you want it to be. That's all I'm gonna do in here. So then I'm gonna open it with Portrait Professional, which is an incredible program for doing retouching for guys like me who don't do a lot of this really detailed work. It gives me a good chance to just do an overall. All you have to do is click the nose and the chin. The software is gonna find the face. It does a really good job in that. And then as soon as I get my presets up here, you can go in and manually adjust every single setting if you like, but it's got some really great presets. So I'm gonna use maximum lighting, and that's gonna clean up a lot of things there, especially on her skin. I'm gonna turn off the face sculpting. We don't need to change the shape of her face. She looks beautiful as it is. The only other thing I think I'm gonna do here is bring out her eye color. If I brighten the iris, it really makes her eyes pop. You can change the color of the eyes. You can do all kinds of things here if you want to, but I'm not gonna do any of that. If we go back to what our original looked like, here it is there. And this image here is our after. So quite a dramatic difference. Mark, thanks so much for bringing me in. I'll see you soon, buddy.
Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey, and today I'm going to be making one of Mark's photos much, much better. Actually, that's not what he asked us to do, but nonetheless, I've chosen this picture because I love the symmetry of it and I think it's got some great potential. With the current restrictions, I can't bring people into my studio, but I can do it virtually. So my plan is photograph my studio background, superimpose that onto the image Mark sent me, but I need to light the background, and today I have a choice. I could use a magnum reflector or a small softbox, but I want to do this like Mark would, so which one of these two would be one of Mark's favourite light modifiers?
I have this magnum reflector right here. I have a magnum reflector here. So this is a magnum reflector. So one of my favorite light modifiers. This is a Profoto magnum reflector.
Magnum reflector it is then! So what I've done in Photoshop is I've put my studio background over the top of the image Mark sent me, used the overlay blending mode to sort of merge them together, added a layer mask and just masked away any texture from the model's skin, and put a bit of a background blur for a bit of depth of field effect too. Then I thought maybe a little bit of toning would work well, so I've used a color lookup table to add a bit of green and another one to add a bit of orange. The whole thing just feels a little bit out of balance after that, so I've gone back into Camera Raw where I've added a bit of contrast, knocked the colors back a little bit, and also toned down the white top that she's wearing. And finally cropped it so it's more of a nice horizontal rather than a standard shot for a bit more of a cinematic look and feel. And with a couple of tweaks and adjustments, there it is! There's my final picture completed.
All right, well, that was a ton of fun. I love the different approaches different people took to editing these photos. Some people did that really, really fast. Some people took a little bit longer. Some were black and white. Some are highly saturated. You get the idea. The thing is, pick an image based on what you're going to do to it, and then follow that thought till the very end. And don't be afraid to play, because any image can become really multiple different things, and they all can be good. Just like our apple, we can make a bunch of things. They're all yummy. Well, I hope you learned something. I certainly did. And thank you so much for joining me for this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to Adorama TV, because we're making new videos every single day, even during this difficult time, because again, we are committed to create no matter what and to help you do the same. I also encourage you to follow me on Instagram. I'm always posting behind the scenes photos and videos of what I'm up to. You can ask me questions and we have a little dialogue going on there. It's really a lot of fun. Again, thanks for joining me, and I will see you again next time.